My first memory of reading and of writing goes way back to when I'm a little girl. My mother read to me before I can even remember, all the way through 5th grade. She read to me every single night. It was something that I cherished as a child and that I looked forward to. It helped us to bond, and it's something that I will always remember. We talked about everything that we read, and while I never really loved to read whenever I was younger, I could always comprehend, and I give that credit to my mother. Ultimately, my mother made me be an active reader and a thinker early on in life. I learned to read in 1st grade. I look back on that and always think it's so odd that I didn't learn how to read on my own in kindergarten, but that was 20 years ago, so it wasn't such a horrifying developmental delay to not have your child learn to read in kindergarten back then. The only thing I remember about reading is sitting at stations and having headphones and listening to a tape recorder of children's books. That's it. And then it just clicked in 1st grade. I remember enjoying reading biographies whenever I was an adolescent, but sadly, those are one of the few books that I read when I was in elementary and middle school on my own. I did not truly grasp the joy of reading until I got out of high school. However, that doesn't mean in high school I didn't enjoy reading, even if it was just small bits. Okay, I remember loving Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, Charlotte Bronte's Wuthering Heights, and John Milton's Paradise Lost. I yearned for true beauty in what I read. And since I yearned for that in what I read, I also yearned for that in what I wrote. Now, even though I didn't read whenever I was a young child, I always wrote. I kept little journals. I had tons of poems that I wrote because I was an angsty teenager, and that was my way to let it out. And I remember at first it was hard. I remember in 4th grade writing about Barbie juice and about having to be creative, and it was such a stretch to have to do that. But as time went on, and as I went into middle school and had a wonderful teacher that pushed me, I was able to actually write. I credit my writing to Miss Walden, my AIG English teacher in middle school, that I thankfully had in 6th, 7th, and in 8th grade. She made us write every single day, and we had to write a full page every single day. She was one that made me feel like I actually was a writer. I was one of 4 or 5 kids in the entire 7th grade that made a 4 on the writing exam back when we used to have those in 7th grade. And then since I had that in middle school, I knew in high school that I was going to write. So I went on and I joined the school newspaper. I loved it. I liked having my name next to a story, and I worked hard enough and I pushed myself to be an editor my senior year of high school. I took 2 AP English classes when I was there, and I placed out of English, obviously, in college. But I still took it anyway, even though I wasn't an English major. I enjoyed English. I enjoyed reading. I enjoyed writing. That is who I am. I have come to define myself as that. Now, digital writing and digital reading, being a digital literacy person, is a little bit of a different story. I'm still one that I just got a Kindle this year. I want to smell a book. I want to feel it. I enjoy turning the page and having a bookmark in there. So I have not ever really classified myself as a digital learner so much, even though I've taken a majority of my classes from UNC Charlotte online. I tend to look at myself as a digital literacy person because of social media and because of blogs. I have taught myself, thankfully, through classes that I've had at UNC Charlotte and through my students. I have to go to professional development constantly in Iredell Statesville schools, and they give us new ideas so we can help our kids be digital learners. So in this way, it's changed me the most as a learner, because I don't just learn from books anymore. And it's changed me as a teacher, because I know that my kids cannot just learn from books. They have to be able to be up and doing things and manipulating things. They help me to be able to manipulate and take breaks and stop and start, and that's so imperative for our 21st century learners. They need that. Outside of school, digital literacy is still really just small for me in my life. I read articles online. We don't get a newspaper at my husband and I, in my home. But that's it, articles and blogs. I just still enjoy having a book in front of me. That doesn't mean, though, at school that I don't look to the internet and look for digital everything. At school, it just feels like a different story. As an educator, I feel that I am in the digital world. That's where I'm supposed to be. So when I think about audience and convention and style and voice, I can totally see it, whether it is on my smartboard, whether it's on a page in front of me, or whether it's on some sort of website. It doesn't matter. It's all there. It's still beautiful writing. And as for the future with digital literacy, I know that it will just only get more. That is where our kids are going to be publishing. They are going to be turning things into us completely online, and they are going to feel that they are these people, these entities that exist online. They are going to be digital learners. And in Iredell Statesville schools, we will be learning how to do that more so this year as we get MacBooks sometime in the spring. So I know that's near in my future. I know I have to continue to push myself as a digital learner and as a digital educator.